and that is a very exciting milestone. Our partnering theme is Companions on the Journey, and as you can tell by all of you in this room, we really are on a journey together. And to kick off our kickoff, Jim Salzek is going to read some reflections for us, and then we have a couple other brief activities to tell you about. So I bring it to Jim at this point.
Thank you, Kara. I would like to welcome you as we begin our 2016 Mission and Values Celebration. As you may know, it has been 120 years since Mother Agnes Hassett, as General Superior of the Congregation of Sisters of St. Agnes, accepted a plea of help from Dr. Frank Wiley to open a hospital in Fond du Lac, saying, "Now that we have decided to go ahead, we will never turn back." This was a tall endeavor, considering the sisters were a teaching order by tradition. But they embraced the challenge and immediately started moving ahead, resulting in the dedication of the St. Agnes Sanitarium on June 23rd, 1896. Their courageous journey continues yet today, and as we look to 2016, we also celebrate another milestone in our history as Agnesian Healthcare. For it was 20 years ago that the Fond du Lac Regional Clinic and St. Agnes Hospital came together to create the diversified healthcare system we are benefiting from even as we gather here today. I am sure many of you remember this momentous time as we worked to further position us for the changing field of healthcare. Before we continue, though, let me offer the following reflection. God, source of all gifts, we rejoice in the fullness of your holy generosity. We thank you especially now for the gift of change, that change of newness that opens doors closed by habit and routine. We bless you and thank you as well for that which is stable and unchanging, for the ancient and tradition which gives meaning to the new and the different. We thank you, end of all longing, for the capacity for change in our lives, for without change there can be no real growth and no true light. We are grateful in this prayer for those persons who, through their gifts of excitement and adventure, have taught us not to fear change, not to resist the new. We are thankful for your Son, your sacred word, who spoke to us of new wines for new wineskins, and who calls us daily to a new kingdom and to a new covenant. May our hearts be ever changing, ever in growth, as we journey to you, our mysterious source, you who are forever fresh and new, yet forever the same. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who gives us spice to life with change. Amen.
Amen.
And now I'd like to invite Marge Weidinger up to share a story.
As we celebrate some special milestones in our history under the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Agnes, we'll be reaching out to associates, providers, and the community at large to hear their favorite stories about the past 20 years being part of Agnesian Healthcare. And we wanted to share just a few for as early arrivals. Here's one from Karen Gross, who serves as volunteer coordinator at Rickman Medical Center and Waupun Memorial Hospital. As a 35-year associate of Agnesian Healthcare, I have enjoyed the opportunity to work in a faith-based ministry that has allowed me to share my faith as part of my work. It means a lot to me that I've been able to say to a coworker, patient, client, or volunteer that I'm sorry that they're experiencing a difficult time in their lives, but that I will keep them in my prayers. There have been many times when I have seen patients and families touched in a very special way by the actions of staff or volunteers who have done something to make their experience a little bit better. I'd like to share a story where a volunteer came to my office in Waupun with tears in her eyes, and she shared this with me. A patient came in today and asked for directions to her doctor's office. I told her I'd be happy to show her the area that she was looking for. On the patient's way out, the volunteer said, "Have a nice day." The patient stopped and said that she wanted to thank the volunteer for her smile and the kindness that she had shown her that day. The patient stated that the volunteer's smile helped to lighten the day in which she had just found out she had cancer. It was so nice to meet her. The volunteer said, "I will always remember how important it is to smile. During this time of celebration of the last 120 years, may we all remember to smile."
Thank you. That was a beautiful story. My story is from Julie Graff, who works in registration out at Ribbon Medical Center, and she's one of those people that you're talking about. She's got that twinkle in your eye that just makes your day when walking, and she's always got a smile on her face. And she says this is her second anniversary with RMC. "To me, Vision Healthcare means providing simply the best care to everyone I encounter throughout the day. Greeting people with a friendly, genuine smile. I try to keep in mind that actions do speak louder than words. I've seen this simply the best care, hands-on. Shortly after I started out at Ribbon Medical Center, my mother-in-law, Lil, was hospitalized at the hospital. The staff was awesome. They were always friendly, and by telling Lil what they were going to do, helped to put our family at ease. Lil was a patient off and on for about 3 months at Ribbon Medical Center. Our fellow co-workers were so sweet and caring, allowing me to take short breaks to run up to her and say a quick hello. One night, there were several family members in Lil's room. The nurses brought a cart of fruit, cookies, water, and lemonade. The family was touched that the staff had to bring us something to eat and drink as we were making some pretty hard decisions. This little gesture showed my family how Vision Healthcare provides simply the best care, not only to patients, but to their families and me as well. I'm proud to be an associate of an organization that's contact-based. It's a true joy to serve an organization that cares wholeheartedly about their patients and family members as well.
Our final story is from Barbara the Nectarine, who serves as a volunteer supervisor with Vision Healthcare. I had the privilege of going to Indiana with Barb for an extensive training of our mission and learning about our Catholic, the rich heritage we have as a Catholic healthcare facility. So I got to know Barb well there, and I feel honored to read her story. She writes, "As I look back to when I was a young girl, I remember my neighbor Anne. She was a wonderful, kind lady that taught me the true meaning of what loving your job truly meant. There were times when I thought she was absolutely crazy. She would work long hours, 10 to 12-hour days, and come home so exhausted that all she could do was go to her bedroom and put a pillow at the end of her bed, laying down and propping up her feet on that pillow. She would then take a deep breath and say, 'Barbie, that was a good day.' Really? She was exhausted. She could not even sit at the kitchen table to have supper because she just needed to get off her feet. Anne's job that she just loved was working at St. Agnes Hospital as a CNA. I remember thinking, someday I really want to work there. I want to have that same heart that Anne had and what she did every day for over 30 years. I have now been with Vision Healthcare for over 25 years, and yes, through those 25 years, there were some tough times. Long days, actually days that were going to take more than just propping my feet up. But can you imagine what Mother Agnes Hazard felt? I bet she was more than just exhausted, but she had a passion, one that I believe we still feel and experience and engage in our hallways today. We have grown to almost 4,000 associates, and have joined with some other wonderful healthcare businesses to become a ministry that I hope someday we will hear, "Well done, good and faithful servants." I believe it was an honor for St. Agnes to get a group of women together to begin to care for our community. I know it was an honor for my neighbor to give up herself each day she arrived at work to provide that compassionate care. And it is an honor and privilege for me to work in an organization that allows me to continue to serve and carry on the mission that everyone worked so hard at maintaining for 120 years.
Thank you for those of you who read the stories and for Jim for providing the reflection. We'll invite Jim back up in just a moment here, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about what to expect in the next couple of weeks for our Mission Value Celebration. I feel so far away from you, just to move forward a little bit. So we have a variety of activities that will speak to different people, different things that they like to do. We have online reflections, which will also be read overhead daily. We have some opportunities at each of the hospital sites to have tea with the sisters and to hear directly from them some of their rich history and their experiences. I've personally gone to those events, and if you've never gone, I encourage you to do so. It is a wonderful time, not only just to have a snack and some tea in the middle of the day, but it really brings it back home of the legacy that we are living and the mission that we're carrying forward long after some of the sisters that we're having tea with will be around. It's up to us to carry that forward. So if you have an opportunity to do that, please do. We also have an adoptive department, Secret Pal activity, where you can share gifts back and forth between different departments. It's kind of like the Secret Santa, and really get to know each other as we're all companions on this journey together. And we have packets for all of our directors. So if any of you are directors here, please on your way out pick up a packet. It has a list of the itinerary of events. It has some bookmarks to hand out to all of your associates. And it provides what you're hearing now this morning, so you can bring these reflections and these stories back to your departments. And then we'll be calling for people to submit stories like what you heard this morning throughout the year, and there's information on there on how to do that. So I encourage you on your way out of the door to pick up your packet in alphabetical order. I'll be standing there to help you find yours. And for those of you who are not leaders, mission is just as much for all of us, and to champion each other to get involved in these events. You'll be blessed by doing so, and it complements our other mission program that just kicked off this morning. So I encourage you to participate and encourage each other to participate. And before we let you go back to your day, I invite Jim to lead us in a closing reflection.
Thank you, Carol. But before I do that, I just want to challenge you. We all heard some wonderful stories here this morning, and we all of us have wonderful stories to share. This is part of our tradition. The church was built on oral tradition, stories that we shared in a community. It's vitally important that we share with one another and the community the stories that you hear that embolden and enliven our associates, because that is what gives us our identity in our community. The closing reflection. God, our Creator, we thank you and praise you for sharing your goodness. As you empowered St. Agnes through prayer, surround us with faith and trust. Help us to be resourceful in discerning decisions. Keep us faithful to the Agnesian tradition. We ask this in the Spirit of Jesus, both now and forever. Amen.
Amen.